never easy to lose a loved one. And today we're going to examine that for Mrs. Frank Riley, who on this particular Sunday is seeking the help to understand through her parish priest, Father Comedy. Hi, this is Mike Champagne, and this is Story Break. This YouTube channel was created to give you a chance to take a few minutes for yourself and listen to a story. And every 3 weeks, we release another new story for your pleasure. I hope that if this is your first time, you'll join us again. I hope that you'll subscribe so we can tell you when the next story is ready. And if you just want to listen, you can catch us on Spotify or on Apple. And now, for your enjoyment, Milton. The last Mass was over, and Father Comedy's stomach was growling. He was looking forward to a lovely Sunday dinner his housekeeper, Mrs. Santos, always made for him. 5 consecutive Masses always made him work up an appetite. Looking down the long aisle of the semi-darkened church, Father Comedy saw a lone figure sitting in the front pew, all dressed in black. "Hello? Who's there?" The figure was hunched over and sobbing. The priest approached cautiously. When he was nearly next to the hitching figure, he recognized who it was. "Mrs. Riley! Well, Mass is over. I was about to close up and what on earth? What's wrong?" "It's Milton! He's dead! Oh, Father Carmody, I don't know what I'm to do. Yesterday night, I come home from the bingo, don't you know, and I found him on the floor, stretched out and stiff as a board. I didn't sleep. I came here for the comfort of the church. I sat through all the Masses. Oh!" The woman let out a wail and proceeded to weep in great hitching sobs. "Milton? Mrs. Carmody, please." "Oh, you don't know him, Father. We took him in 6 months ago. The lad showed up at our door, confused and cold and hungry, and the rain dripping off him. Now he's gone. Oh!" She returned to her uncontrolled weeping. What happened? What was wrong with him?" The priest's concern increased. "Frank killed him. I'm sure of it. Oh, what am I to do, Father? Oh, for the love of God, woman, why would you say that? What makes you think Frank?" "Jealous. That's what he was. Jealous and resentful of the lad. Ever since he showed up at our door, Frank was agitating for him to leave. He hated him. Are you daft, Irene? Look at the size of him. He's near grown. Turn him out. He can fend for himself, he says." "And where is he to go then?" I asked. "Look at him, Frank. He's cold and wet. It was raining terrible out. And I bet he's not had a bite to eat. It won't hurt your soul to show some Christian charity, Frank Riley. He was so young and completely lost. So I fed him. I fixed him a meal, and I made a pallet by the stove for the night. But Frank, all he could say was, 'He can't stay here, Irene. We're not no orphanage.' And the poor lad sitting there with his big brown eyes of his, wondering what's to become of him." The woman tried to pull herself together to tell her story. "You don't know, Father. The shock. I don't think I can survive it. I come in after the bingo, and there's Frank, lying on the bed in his underwear and socks, with a TV blaring, sleeping like a newly baptized babe. I woke him up, made him look at the body. He claimed he didn't see nothing, hear nothing. Can you feature that, Father? There's Milton, lying cold and stiff on the floor, and all Frank could say was, 'Well, would you look at that?' And then he went back to bed, callous. That's what he is. Unfeeling and a monster. That's what he is. Oh, God will get him for this." "Well, what did the authorities say?" I haven't called him, Father. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I mean, Frank is my husband after all. The lout. Do you mean to say the poor lad is still lying on your kitchen floor? Oh, I covered him up with a blanket and I come right here, Father. I didn't know what else to do. It was the last 2 weeks they'd done it, I'm sure of that. He was a big boy. Oh, such a handsome lad. Strong and yet so gentle. About 2 weeks ago, Frank was working late. I went to bed and was reading. I must have fallen asleep, and suddenly there was a terrible row. Frank had come home and found the lad in bed with me. I swear, Father, I never encouraged it. Frank flew into a rage and threw him off the bed. I never seen him so angry. I thought he'd kill him right then, but I managed to calm Frank down. I told him I wasn't aware. There was nothing to it. He just wanted to feel close. He looks at me like a mother. He didn't do nothing wrong. I had to promise the lad would bunk out back in the potting shed from then on. But the nights can be cold, Father. Well, surely you did. I know my vows, Father. Love, honour, and obey. But you should know I'm not a woman to be told, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. Mrs. Riley, this is a serious thing. Oh, don't worry, Father. I made sure it never happened again. I always made Milton leave the bed before Frank come home. Do you know what you're saying, woman? The implications, he poisoned him. That's what I think. Frank bided his time. He's a vengeful git, he is. He pretended everything was just fine. He waited until I went to the bingo, and he put something in the food. There was no mark on the body. I studied every inch of him. Mrs. Riley! The priest couldn't hide his shock. I looked. No telltale evidence of violence, don't you know. But I noticed the cupboard door was just slightly ajar. That's where we keep the rat poison. Now and then we have a problem, don't you know. And I noticed that the door was not tightly closed. And there's Frank saying, well, will you look at that? As casual as you please. He done it, and God will rain his vengeance on him. Mrs. Riley, this is something beyond the confessional. It's civil. You've got to call the police. You've got to notify the powers that be. The body has to be collected and an autopsy be done. Frank must be held for questioning. What? But police? Oh, no, not that I wouldn't want all that to fall on him, but I don't think they'll come after Frank for the suspected poisoning of a dog, Father. A dog? All this is about a dog? The priest staggered back slightly in surprise. Well, of course. What did you think? Father Carmody, you mean you thought that I was... Really, Father? No, now, don't you? Why didn't you say it was a dog woman? What was I to think all this time? You talking about some young, strong, handsome lad coming to your bed and all. Is that what you think of me, Father? That I'm some kind of a strumpet looking for adventures outside my marriage? I can see where all this celibacy leads the mind of a man, priest or no. And on top of all that, I've lost him. I've lost Milton. Oh. The woman returned anew to her deep sobs of grief. Now, stop that, Mrs. Carmody. I deeply apologize for my mistake, but you have to admit, woman, you did lead me to the door of suspicion with the lad and all that. Anyone would have made that mistake. Here I am, deep in grief, and my own priest accuses me of infidelity. I can see there's no comfort in the church. No, now, if you'll allow me to comfort you, I understand how hard it is to lose a beloved pet. But you must understand, Mrs. Riley, that is the way of life. They only live so long, and then it's over. The priest was trying with great difficulty to cut through the woman's sobbing, but it only increased with his last pronouncement. Oh, it's over. It's so soon. No, Milton wasn't old. He was young and strong. He was so beautiful, and he loved me. That Frank. I ought to give him the rat poison!" The woman's eyes blazed with anger. "Now, you don't know Frank had anything to do with it. The end of the creature's life. He might have died of natural causes. All this anger and suspicion may be for naught. You've got to extend the benefit of the doubt to Frank. Just tell me. I'll see him in heaven again, Father." The woman reached out and grabbed the priest's sleeve. The priest hesitated for a moment. "Well, tell me I'll have my Milton back when I go to heaven." Mrs. Riley's red eyes searched the priest for reassurance. I'm sure you gave the beast the best 6 months of his life. There's a great comfort in that, surely." Father Carmody tried to smile. "I know he gave me the best 6 months of mine, Father. Do you know what it's like being married to the stone of a man like Frank Riley? It's an indenture. I'm a servant. I cook his meals, I wash his dirty underwear, and clean his house. And does he talk to me? Does he give me one word of kindness or affection? Milton was the only one who showed me any love at all. He would follow me about. He'd sit out in the garden with me and listen when I talked. He'd come over and lean himself against me when I was blue. He knew me, Father, better than Frank ever did. I just want to know that I'll see him again in heaven." "Mrs. Riley, it's not a sure thing, I have to say." "What do you mean, not a sure thing?" "Milton was a dog, Mrs. Riley." "I know that." The woman pulled herself up tight in the pew. "Animals, you see, it's different for them." "What do you mean, different?" "Well, you see, a person has a soul." "Are you telling me my Milton didn't have a soul?" Now she was leaning forward, drilling the priest with her eyes. "Oh, no. Animals have souls. The church agrees with that." "Well, then." For a moment, Mrs. Riley relaxed slightly. "But their souls are different than ours, you see." The priest was striving to explain as kindly as he knew how. "Different? In what way?" The woman leaned forward again. "Well, theirs is a feeling soul. God has put them on earth to celebrate his greater glory." Well, so then I'll see my Milton in heaven." "It's not clear-cut, Mrs. Riley. You see, an animal has a feeling soul, but men have rational souls. That's the difference. Only rational souls go to heaven." "But you said my Milton was put on earth for God's greater glory." "I did. He was. But that's his was not a rational soul, I'm afraid." "And what's that? A rational soul?" The woman peered suspiciously at the priest. "It means Milton wasn't capable of making higher decisions, so he could not qualify for heaven." "Milton? Not qualify for heaven? And I suppose Frank does?" "Well, yes. If he's a good man, Frank's soul will go to heaven." "Well, now that's the biggest cock-up I ever heard. The man's a dog poisoner." "If that's true, if he's penitent, he can be forgiven his sins, and he'll be taken into heaven." "Well, I'm not going if Frank is there and Milton isn't, and that's final. What kind of a place is heaven if there are no animals there? How does that show they're part of God's greater glory?" "Well, now, Mrs. Riley, if it's your pleasure, once you get to heaven, that you want to have Milton with you, I'm sure God will allow it." "He'll allow it, will he? And why's that, if animals don't go to heaven?" Her tone was deeply challenging. "Well, you see, heaven is pure pleasure and happiness. If Milton will make you happy, I'm sure God will send him to you." The priest smiled, thinking he had squared the circle. "What? You mean like sending for a takeout? Milton will be delivered to me like Chinese spring roll?" "Well, no, not quite." Father Carmody was beginning to worry again. "You mean to say that in heaven you can have whatever you want, any time you want it?" "Well, yes, I suppose, if it makes you happy." "What kind of a place is that? You can have whatever you want whenever you want it. Do you know what that would do to people with their rational soul or not? It'll turn septic. They'll rot from their own desires. Who would want to go to a place like that?" "Oh, no, Mrs. Riley, you misunderstand. You'll be in a state of grace. In a state of grace, sin is impossible." Now Father Carmody had felt he'd solved it. State of grace. You mean like a license? Well, of a kind, I suppose. It's all very complicated, Mrs. Riley. I'm only a parish priest. I'm not a theorist. This is a bit above my pay grade, as they say. The priest tried to chuckle a little to show his good nature. You're my parish priest. I am, yes. You're the go-between between God and me. That's true, yes. And you're telling me that in heaven, the place we are all supposed to aim for, is a place with no animals, and a dog poisoner can have anything he wants, anytime he wants it, while I have to order out to have the one soul near me who gave me the comfort and love. I wouldn't entirely agree with that characterization, Mrs. Riley. You're guessing, aren't you? You don't really know. I come here to my church for comfort and from a terrible trauma, and I find a man without answers and no clue of what I'm going through. The woman stood up from the pew. Mrs. Riley, I'm merely trying. Thank you, Father Carmody. I can see that I have quite a lot to think about, a whole lifetime of things to think about. And I suggest that perhaps you need a refresher course because you're not very good at your job. With that, the woman exited the pew and determinedly marched down the aisle and through the front door. Father Carmody watched her go, unable to think of something to say that would stop her. He knew that by now the marvelous dinner Mrs. Santos would have served was sitting on the dining table, stone cold. Thank you for watching, Milton, and I hope you enjoyed it. Our next story will be The Mystery of Simon Fisher. It's an odd story about a man who seeks to get past his own fate, to force a better fate for himself. Can he do it? Will he do it? And what about fate? Does fate have a sense of humor? I hope that you'll join us again. I hope that you'll subscribe, press like, and in the meantime, stay well, do good, and I hope to see you then.